ladies and gentlemen, if you can believe this, the defense for Michael Sussman, the third person indicted within the Durham probe special counsel, wants potential jurors, actually is opposed to Durham asking potential jurors if they have any links to groups that looked into what he described as Clinton's campaign's promotion of the Trump collusion narrative. So, Democratic lawyer protests Durham case jurors being asked about links to Clinton promotion and collusion narrative. What? Are you serious? What? A legal team for indicted Democratic cybersecurity lawyer Michael Sussman doesn't like special counsel John Durham's proposal to ask potential jurors in an upcoming trial if they have any links to groups that looked into what he describes as the Hillary Clinton campaign's promotion of the Trump-Russia collusion narrative. This is the Washington Examiner today. Fantastic reporter, amazing publication. A filing in federal court Friday said Durham's team and Sussman's lawyers were in agreement about a question asking potential jurors if, quote, you have any family members or close personal friend participated or any connection with any government agency, group, organization, committee, or subcommittee, public or private group or organization, including any media group or organization that has investigated or made inquiry into interference. Okay, they agreed upon that, but apparently... But Sussman's team said it objected to the Durham prosecution's request to ask the jury pool the same question related to any links to groups that have looked at or been tied to the Clinton campaign or the Democratic National Committee's promotion. Are you kidding me? So they don't want anybody associated with Trump in any way in the jury. But they have no problem with people associated directly with Clinton through, political organizations, the DNC. Apparently that's okay. So, of course, John Durham is going to refute this. Of course, the judge is going to side with Durham on this. And you want a jury pool. I mean, obviously, if it's a trial by jury, you don't want anyone associated with Clinton in any way. Any direct association. Okay, if the judge was appointed by Bill Clinton, for example, Madam Secretary's husband, you don't want that either. Even though you could say, well, it was 30 years ago, what are you talking about, all this stuff? Yeah, but you still don't want that. You want somebody who is removed, doesn't have any any bias that could lead them to a decision that would be unjust. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. We're almost at 195 people. We're like 50 subs away. Tell your friends about this channel. Hit subscribe to the Stock Market Crash channel below in the pinned comment. Within the pinned comment, my Patreon link. If you want to support my work long term, the best thing you could do also is just word of mouth. Anyone that you know who might enjoy my viewpoint on the Durham Probe Special Counsel and a whole bunch of things, tell them to subscribe to this channel. Also, within the pinned comment is my article in the Federalist last October, predicting all the economic consequences or the economic catastrophe we're facing right now, and the impending stock market crash, which we will see, unfortunately. So hit subscribe to this channel, the Stock Market Crash channel. My Patreon link is below if you want to support my work long term. And please read my Federalist article below about the impending stock market crash that we've seen basically since the beginning of the year. I want to read this again. A filing in federal court Friday said that Durham's team is... Okay, sorry. Sussman's team said it objected to the Durham prosecution request to ask the jury pool the same question related to any links to groups that have looked at or been tied to the Clinton campaign and or the Democratic National Committee. Okay, that's interesting. So, the Bureau concluded in Michael Horowitz, the Inspector General of the Justice Department, said in a 2019 report the FBI concluded by early February 2017 there were no such links between former President Donald Trump and Alpha Bank. So even Mueller said, my belief is that it's not true. So there's not a shred of evidence that there was any interference at all. If you want to claim interference, number one, I mean, there's so many issues at play here. The concept of interference has been promoted by people who are outraged and horrified and indignant that Trump has his opinions pertaining to 2 years ago. The fact that we have to speak in such terms is a testament to our wonderful democracy, where speech has consequences for Trump supporters, definitely zero to minimal consequences for people who are on the left or morally superior liberal Democrats. And when Dorsey or anyone at Twitter says, we made a big mistake with Hunter's story, suppressing and silencing and essentially banning dialogue, they are lying through their teeth. They are lying. Media, social media companies, basically every major publication, of course, CNN, MSNBC, most of cable. Jimmy Kimmel devotes his life to basically there should be some kind of regulation or protocol that limits political speech. That limits political speech during late night shows. If you say, well, that's against the First Amendment. Well, look what Twitter did with the New York Post. Are you kidding? How can you further an Alpha Bank story, for example, that was furthered by Jake Sullivan, which is why he's in Trump's lawsuit, and Clinton, and others? That was one of the many lies that were perpetuated, that were promulgated by these people. See, they pontificate about lies. Then they disregard the lies they tell. They live in two different worlds. There are two different worlds within the United States of America right now. Politics used to be Tip O'Neill, long time ago, who was Speaker of the House for decades. And it used to be Tip O'Neill and Reagan, debating or having ideological, you could say, battles, but it wasn't, like, Tip O'Neill wasn't accusing Reagan of being installed by, who was it at that time? By the Soviet premier. Okay? He served, let's see. He served from 10 years, so 1977 to 1987. Okay? The third longest speaker in American history. He didn't utilize intelligence agencies against his direct political rival like Democrats did. The Democrats of the 70s and 80s and even the early 90s, even when Clinton was in office, were very different from Democrats of today. Democrats of today are basically the Bush administration of 20 years ago. And you have, like, everybody from Bill Kristol to the Lincoln Project people. And so the arrogance is you have to understand, the defense team for Sussman says, well, no, we don't care if anyone's linked to the Clinton campaign or DNC because they view the world as, well, we're apolitical even though we're completely biased. Our viewpoint is reality, even though it's high gas prices, inflation through the roof, food shortages, the nightmarish scenario in Europe, which is all supposed to happen under Trump, but coincidentally, just a coincidence happened with mashed potato brains Biden. But, I mean, you can look, it's like, we had a situation where Democrats were completely different. So Tip O'Neill, American politician, okay, from 1977 to 1987, he was, the reason I bring him up is that you wouldn't have Trump Russia under a person like Tip O'Neill. You would with a person like Pelosi. Completely different Democratic Party. Completely different American politics. You didn't have Johnny Carson devoting his life to propping up Democrats and trashing Republicans. You do have that with Jimmy Kimmel and every other late night show host. But the world is different, and you would have to be a lot. You would have to remember what life was like prior to 2015, 2016. I mean, or who Tip O'Neill was. Even if I was a kid at that time, so just a child, but I still remember Tip O'Neill, even though I wasn't really into politics. But it was the difference between Tip O'Neill and Reagan wasn't a monumental difference. The difference between Pelosi and Trump is like, the Grand Canyon. You didn't have media as a mouthpiece of the Democratic Party. You couldn't have Trump Russia prior to 2015. And what President Obama did is he politicized the intelligence services more so than either at any point ever or since the 60s. Or let's just say since the founding of these, or since J. Edgar Hoover would utilize information that he had against his political adversaries. Anyway, give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe to this channel. Right now, I'll be back.